Mm, it's too far away. There we go. Good evening, and thank you for coming tonight. We are continuing our Aging Concern series tonight, and we are talking about care options, in-home or facility care. And so we're going to have just a quick overview of different options. My mouse isn't cooperating with me, so I might be off to the side talking, but it's still the same. Giving an overview, and then we had a couple of speakers lined up for tonight, but life happens, and one had a family emergency and another one had a change in work schedule, and so we're down to one guest, and Louise, who has been working in healthcare or home care and facility care for seniors for 20 plus years, I would say, or 11 years. 11 years. So it seems like over 20. It counts that way. So, understanding the problems. Most older adults prefer staying in their home. We all want to be in our own space. 86% of the population, we want to stay in our home as we get older. It's comfortable, it's familiar. We get that. And it's possible for a lot of people. But there's some support that needs to happen to make it happen. There are challenges like loneliness, reduced mobility. You don't get around as well as you used to. Memory loss. Did I take my medicine this morning or not? Have I walked the dog or not? Have I paid this bill? And then sometimes just managing daily tasks of personal care. And quality in-home care providers can match caregivers to individual needs to continue that support so that you can remain in the home. And so home care services can range from household maintenance of doing laundry, shopping, gardening, housekeeping, handyman, managing your appointments, financial and healthcare management. There can be transportation assistance, access to trains, buses, ride share, reduced taxi fares, senior transportation services. All of those pieces of transportation can help someone stay. Home modifications sometimes are necessary to stay in a home, from something as simple as adding grab bars in the bathroom or ramps to avoid or minimize use of stairs. Stair lifts are a new and popular thing, or installing a bathroom on a ground floor level. All options that can help you stay in your home. Personal care, which is help with the activities of daily living, dressing, bathing, meal preparation. It's called personal or custodial care. And it can range from a few hours to all day to around the clock. It just depends on the needs that you have. Healthcare. Some healthcare services can be provided at home by trained professionals such as occupational therapists, social workers, or home health nurses. It just depends on your need and the ability to have that care in your area. And then day programs can range from adult daycare to just activities that are arranged, like we heard from the senior center when they were there, that a place to go and a place to do things, to keep busy. And it also gives any caretakers that you have a break. All of those things are an important part of home care. But then sometimes home care is no longer enough. It can't be met. And so finding a new living arrangement can be challenging. And that search usually begins when an older person becomes inattentive to bathing and toileting needs, wandering frequently, or sleeping, and agitation. Those are times that we kind of start to signal that maybe it's time to start looking for some additional care. And finding suitable living arrangements becomes more complex because there are different levels of care, and the terminology is not consistent from state to state or even within a community. There's no mandating of what consists of a nursing home, assisted living, or residential care. All of those names and terms are used interchangeably. With the exception of nursing homes, that's the only one that kind of is consistent. And it is a residential care facility that provides a range of services. In a nursing home, it is regulated that a doctor or their designee will routinely visit someone in that facility and monitor their health plan. Licensed nursing staff is on site 24 hours a day. And there are some nursing home facilities that do provide Alzheimer or dementia unit care, which is very specific. And then there's intermediate nursing care, which provides health-related care to individuals who do not require nursing care, but need some help with maybe medicine and feeding. There's skilled nursing care, which is 24 hours licensed nurse, and that's kind of rehabilitation services as well. That happens sometimes when you go in for a hip replacement or a knee replacement and you're not quite ready to go from the hospital directly home. There's some rehabilitation services. Sometimes that can be done in a nursing home facility. It just depends on what that facility offers. And then subacute nursing provides more intense therapy or monitoring that's normally provided in a nursing home, that you are done with your hospital stay, but your medical needs require something more than a nursing home or a residential care facility can provide. And then we have the assisted living facilities that provide individual rooms. Most provide 3 daily meals and activities for people who can no longer live alone, but don't require that 24-hour nursing supervision. There's 24-hour on site, but it is typically not nursing. And there's no health care provider involvement in the plan of care when you're residing at assisted living. It's not required. It can be there, but it is not legally required. Many of those facilities also offer the Alzheimer or dementia units. There's board and home cares, which are smaller, more home-like residents for people who can no longer live independently. And then there's continued care retirement communities, which have a lot of different, it's like a step where you can work your way up to the level of care. You start as low as you need, and as your needs change, you can change as well. Starting independent and then shifting all the way up to nursing care. So when it's time to make either one of those moves, it's important to include the older person as much as possible in deciding in nursing care or some other home care setting. We all like to feel empowered and have agency in the decisions that are going on. I know in my own personal experience, I'm navigating this with my parents and having those conversations, and that's what it usually starts with, this conversation, asking questions. How is this working for you? Where are you having challenges? What things aren't working for you anymore? What things are still working? What are some options that we can continue? When you make a decision to try an assisted living or nursing home, think about it as a trial period. That this might not be the permanent solution. It might not be the best solution. Same thing with home care. It may work, it may not. And you may know that it is the permanent solution, but just in that transition period, sometimes it helps to think a little bit differently. And during the adjustment phase, visiting frequently for short periods of time can be more helpful than staying for long periods of time. that they see you more frequently rather than longer periods of time so they can get settled in. It's almost like when you send your kids off to college and you leave them there for the first little bit, but they need that period of adjustment, and those check-ins are the things that help make that transition. Be involved, visit often, speak with the staff, participate in the care planning session and with the staff of either the assisted living or the nursing home. The more involved you are, the more knowledgeable you become, and it becomes more of that joint decision. And talk with the activities directors and all of the places and see, is there a way that you can connect and be involved? So, your goal is to understand the different kinds of nursing and home care available, review the needs of the person, your ability to provide care, and your own healthcare needs and stamina. Learn about the nursing home and home care options in your area and the services they provide. Because as we said, they use the terms interchangeably, and you need to understand what a facility offers and does it meet the needs of the individual. Discuss the situation with everyone involved, the older person, family, friends, healthcare providers, and choose the nursing home, assisted facility, or home care that best meets the needs. And also understand that no place is perfect. And so, Louise, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'm even going to give you my microphone. Just going right over your ear. You got enough stuff in my ear. There you go.
Hi there. I worked for Home Instead for 11 years, so they couldn't come tonight, so you got me. Home Instead goes into homes, so people don't have to go into a facility. But we also work a great deal with people who were in facilities, because of things that they can't do at the facility that we would take care of. Home Instead, when we go into a house, when they first ask for Home Instead, they go into and assess their needs. And some of the prices depend on what you need and how often you need help. There is a minimum of, I think, 2 hours a day. So we can go in, we'll do the housekeeping, we'll go grocery shopping, cook a meal. I was sort of surprised by how many young people don't know how to cook. So it's sad. I don't know what they do when they're home. But we cook for them and clean up. But, the big thing is companionship. I went to one man where he lived with his daughter and son-in-law, and he had dementia. And he was just such a sweet man. And we used to sit with his family in the evening and watch TV, and he loved to hold my hand when we watched TV. And sometimes people have just missed that physical contact with somebody. So when I would be with people, I would try to pat them on the back or the shoulder, and if they wanted to hold my hand, that I would. And that made a difference. Some people don't want that, and that's fine. But some of them are very reassured by that. But we give them, and I also try to be very honest with people. This one gentleman would say to me, when I get better, I'll just, and I finally tried to explain to him what was wrong that he wouldn't get better. And I told his daughter what I had told him. She said, thank you, because I haven't been able to do that. And I appreciate that you did. And then we would talk about his plans. He wanted to show me what shirt he wanted to be buried in. And because it was like a Hawaiian shirt, he was very funny. And he could accept what was happening. And then he could talk about it. And a lot of it is dealing with fear. People who are getting older fear more things. And, they're afraid of physical things like falling and um, they're afraid to be alone. They don't want to be left alone. And so just getting them through that fear and telling them that it's okay. And I'm here. I won't let you fall down. And make sure you use your walker because that's your best friend. And telling them these things. And then when they're hurting because they can't do something, I would say, remember the things you can do. Be grateful for that because there's still things you can do. And be happy you can do that. Be happy. I have clients, let's say, who can't read. Be happy that you can still enjoy your books and read. So I think Home Instead just tries to give people a lot of self-confidence and strength. Now, if they wanted to stay at home, this was a great way for them to be able to do that. But there were people who needed care 24 hours, and it was difficult to have people, besides being incredibly expensive. Then you look at the other options. Bless you. Um, but Home Instead gives them the sense of staying home. Now we would go to nurse or assisted living and take care of people because there were some things assisted living can't or won't do. Um, you can't be in assisted living or independent living if you're incontinent. So they would have to have us come to help those people to clean them up and change them, even though they were still getting around and doing stuff. But there were restrictions against them doing that in assisted living. They also have to be able to feed themselves. So we can't go into a facility and help somebody eat, but we would go and sit with people who were getting where they didn't want to eat and just try to encourage them to eat and give them some company, kind of a distraction, so they weren't thinking about eating, but you would eat and talk to them. Um, then there were some people we'd go to help them get dressed in the morning or get them ready for bed at night because the facilities don't have enough staff to go to each individual person and help get ready for bed. Um, so that's what Homestead does. And I love Homestead. I love working there. I met wonderful people. Some of it was really tough because I'd be with them 5 years and I'd lose them. But it was a wonderful experience and I learned a lot. And I hope I helped other people. But some of them got to be good friends. Their families are still friends. So, are there any questions? Yeah? No. Kamala wanted to, but Medicare doesn't cover any of it. You have special insurance to cover home care like that. We also worked some with, a lot of the people had home health nurses, so we would work with them and call them if we saw a change or a problem. Now, home health nurses are paid for, but home care through Home Instead isn't. Yeah, we have a terrible health system, in case you didn't know. Yeah, Right. I'm going to step first. Yeah, but you have to get special insurance, and it's very expensive. But that's only if you've been in the service, right? Oh, you can get that otherwise? Oh. TRICARE doesn't what? Hmm. I'm not sure what it is. Now, hmm. Oh, really?
We asked for $4.25 per meal. Okay. So yeah, it's a voluntary contribution that's requested, of $4.25 per meal. But if someone is not able to pay, we don't require them to pay. So it's not even a sliding scale. We don't ask for any income verification, anything. If someone calls and asks for a meal, we deliver a meal. Mhm. Yeah, so if we have folks that come in and they tell us they're unable to pay, we ask them if they would be willing to talk to a case manager. We don't do anything with that because it's a program through Medicaid, and there's certain case managers that are set up for that. So we will give their information to those Medicaid case managers that we work with, and then they do all of the verification and everything they do. It's very expensive, of course, because it's a federal program. So there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of verification that they have to do. And then if they're approved, then we get the approval, and we normally, because we're the Little Bleeding Heart folks, will get them started on meals because we don't feel that anyone should go without a meal. So we'll pay for their meals until they can get set up on the waiver program. And then once the waiver program kicks in, then they'll start paying for their meals.
And the waiver program he's talking about, not only has a number of different waivers, there's a long-term care waiver, there's a child PD waiver, there's an adult PD waiver, there's a stability facility waiver, and there's children's mental health waiver.
Correct. Yep. And so if you're on any of those other ones, you can't be on any of the other ones. So it's really frustrating for us because if you are on any of the other ones, it's strange to us that you wouldn't be able to get food. Like, how is it that if I'm on the like the DD waiver, why would that stop me? And I get that the money's going to other services, but you would still think food would be. That's just, again, that bleeding heart going to things.
Which is what's most commonly used is people, that are considered institutionalized in your own home. So you have to meet the same level of care that is required in Medicaid to pay for the nursing home placements. Assisted living facility waiver is also one. It's pretty restrictive.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, seniors. We have a senior center here. The new facility opens next week, or the week after. Yeah. So yeah, so we're two sides of the same coin. So we're we get the same funding. We just they get the congregate version of it, and we get the home delivery version of it. So in some communities, so in Wyoming, there's only two actual quote unquote Meals on Wheels, us and Casper. And then throughout the rest of the state, all the senior centers throughout the state, actually, a lot of them do the congregate and the home delivered program. So they do both. So anytime I hear people be like, oh, I do Meals on Wheels, and the governor tells me that all the time, and I'm like, you go to the senior center, sir, you don't. And he just giggles at me and then walks away. But so yeah, so a lot of them do that as well. And so the way that when the Older Americans Act was established in the 70s, the congregate was for that socialization, but the home delivered was also. They see the socialization coming from that visit with the driver, because sometimes that is the only person that those folks are seeing every day. They're getting that socialization. They also call us every day, so we have some folks that call us every single day, and that's their person that they talk to that day, and so or sometimes 4 times. We had someone today call us 4 times, so just to talk. Yep, yeah, and so I did an intake with a lady that. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, and we have those folks that interact with that many people, that doesn't work for them. We have people that just don't have vehicles or the ability to drive and can't afford to get the bus. The bus routes have also changed, and sometimes that doesn't work. A lot of our folks live on the south side, and the bus routes right now are non-existent on the south side unless you live by the Safeway. That's as far south as the bus routes go. So we have a bus route stop right outside of our building, and they don't go that far south anymore. So there's different things like that can kind of take different things into perspective. We also have a program that we work with the hospital that if anyone has been in the hospital and gets discharged from the hospital for any reason whatsoever, they're eligible for 7 days of free meals. Any age, we don't ask questions. If we work with the hospital and they'll send information over, we'll give them a week's worth of meals. We call it healthy healing. And so we know that healthy meals help people heal faster. So no matter what that reason was that they were in the hospital, that can help them get back on their feet. If they choose to want to continue those meals, they can. And whether they can afford them or not, they're welcome to stay on them. Our overall mission was we still wanted to center it at seniors, but we really saw after COVID that people in our community were struggling, and we wanted to be able to help anyone. So we have clients on our program as young as 3 and over 100. So we do the whole gamut. Yes, sir. We do 2. Yep. So they have the opportunity to do 2 meals. We send out about 500 meals a day into the community, and then we make more than that every day. Always. Yes, we're always in need of volunteers, especially in the summer.
Did you say that when it's like socializing, it's a one-off?
Yeah. Yeah, so because we were even talking about that before we started. Luis used to volunteer for us for many years, and as part of that social check that they do with that individual, they also do a safety check. So if they knock on the door and that person's normally always there answering the door and they don't, or the door is normally unlocked and they can come in and it's locked, and they have their phone number, they can call them. If they don't answer the phone and they don't answer the door, they'll call us. And then we have their emergency contact. We can then call that person. If they don't know what's going on, we usually will call the police and ask for a welfare check to make sure that everything's okay with that person, so that if there is something going on in the home, we can make sure it's getting taken care of. And we have found many people in the middle of a medical episode that we favored. A few that we haven't, but I have a staff member that was her first week. Sorry. She's been with me for 3 years, so apparently, yeah.
Coroner came out and he says to her, "Oh, many ladies."
That's what she has to hear. Yeah, immediately. But we also, 2 years ago, we also even started a program that we call Animeals, and so we provide pet food to our clients. It's free of charge for our pets. We get a grant from Meals on Wheels America, who partner with PetSmart Charities, and so we are able to provide pet food. We do dog food, cat food, and cat litter. We have, I think, 1 fish. We've had birds. We do not provide live food, but we do that once a month, and so that's allowed us to not only provide that for our clients, because we know that their pets are their family. I know mine are, my children, so be able to provide that, and that allows that extra companionship for them because they're able to keep them in their home. They're able to feed them. We had even Meals on Wheels America has this in some of their literature of how many people tell us that they have been giving their food that they receive to their animals to make sure that they're eating. So we wanted to make sure our clients are getting their food, and if we can keep those companions in their house, then we want to help do that as well. So 425 is our voluntary. Yes. There's no extra cost. Yep. Yeah, because we get a grant that helps us pay for everything throughout the year. So we work with Cheyenne Dog Food Company, and they give us a good deal on the dog food. And then Dr. Elsie's, which is outside of town, they provide all the cat food and cat litter at no cost to us. So, yeah. And then our volunteers, we're able to bring in more volunteers and get more people involved with the organization that way, because we do it on a Saturday. So people who can't deliver during the week have been able to participate with the organization on the weekends. So it's been another way to get more people involved. as we're talking about facilities and those kinds of things, Meals on Wheels had some statistics showing that helping feed a senior for 1 year costs the same as 1 day in the hospital or 10 days in an assisted living facility. And so right now, as funding being up in the air, our funding is also funding that's up in the air. It's one of those, like, we're one of the organizations that's lucky that we have funding that comes in other ways. There's, some of the senior centers and other things like that across the state are not in that same boat. So I'm not sure. And we don't know right now where if that funding is going to come. We have some other funding that we get from the state that will start July 1, so next week. So we know that's coming in, but our federal funding we don't know about yet. So please write your Congress members. We do. We do at Christmas time. We do a gift bag to each of our clients. It includes a $25 gift card. We still do the book of stamps. Linda requires that. A book of stamps. And then we try and find different, we work with businesses around town. So any of their like giveaway things that you'll see at like events, pens and notepads, those kinds of things. Yeah, we do work with Delta Dental. We get them a hygiene kit. One of the banks does like a different kind of hygiene kit, so they get that. During COVID, we had more hand sanitizer than we knew what to do with, so we still have some of that. But different stuff like that. We've given them socks, hats and gloves, blankets, different things like that as a Christmas gift. Just go around and get donations and different things. We have a former volunteer that always gives us money every year. That's her donation once a year, is to ensure that those clients can still get those holiday bags. So something special that we're able to do for our clients. And it's kind of a fun thing that we like to do. We have a group that does like the stamp, like cards and stuff. And so they do the cards match the bags, that we're all matchy, and they're very cute. So yeah, it's one of those fun things that we're able to do for our clients and give back. A couple years ago, Lowe's Distribution Center started calling us and saying they had money to be able to do 50 of our lowest income clients, and they wanted to find out what they wanted for Christmas. So we got our list and we just started calling them, and it's amazing. It's very grounding, especially at Christmas time. Call people and ask them what they want for Christmas, and they're like, well, there's nothing I want. And you're like, okay, well, what do you it's like some people are getting socks and pajamas, coats, different things, and so then we're like, so is there anything you like to do? So we're trying to find stuff, just to bring smiles to their faces, if something they would never ask for. So you try and have to find ways to get them to think about something just for themselves that's just not something they need, but something that would just, be out of left field for them or something. And then the Lowe's distribution employees actually personally go out shopping for those gifts. Then they wrap them and everything for them, bring them back to us. And then now our staff dresses up like Santa and his elves and different things. We have videos all over YouTube, and they go out and deliver them like Santa and his elves. Yep. They did. Yep. So we do it 5 days a week. So Monday through Friday, but on Friday we do a cold meal and we send out frozen meals for the weekend. So every day, you can see our menu online. It's never, we don't do a cyclical menu. So every 2 weeks, every week they're developing a new menu, and it's just basically what sounds good to us. What have people told us we like, and what can we redo? Those types of things, or what's in, what fruits and vegetables are, more plentiful, those kind of things. Yep. And so we create menus around those kinds of things. So we'll just make extra every day and then create frozens. So it has a label on it. We'll tell the client what day that meal was made and then what's in it, so that they know. And it even has reheat instructions for them. And it can be reheated in the microwave or the oven. So since I've been here, almost 5 years, only closed a handful of times. And once was that really huge blizzard that we had probably right after I started, so 21 was that huge big blizzard that shut down the city for like a week. Um, so that was fun. Yeah, so we do shelf stable meals, and so if we're constantly always watching the weather. And when we see one coming, we'll send out shelf stable meals to our clients to let them know they're shelf stable meals. So just in case we're closed, that we have those. Just keep them handy. They usually eat them as soon as they get them, but we try. So we do that in October just to get ready for the winter, and then we'll do it again when we know that there's one coming. And then what we do staff, and then we call them all every day to let them know if we're going to be closed and make sure that they're okay. Ask if they need anything. So that week that we were closed for those 4 days, we opened up Friday, but by Thursday, I was making my husband dig out of our cul-de-sac to get me to work so that I could get meals for folks to go deliver them, because we had a couple folks that said that they were low on food. So, but that's basically everyone. The clients have more ownership over the volunteers than they probably do anything else. Those, because they see them every day and they're their family, so they don't want them out in the weather. Or some folks that live in trailer parks, they're like, yeah, our landlords haven't been through to clear the trailer park. They're like, I don't want anyone coming through here. They'll get stuck and they'll be here for days. Or and some of them have family that'll come through and stock their pantries for them before a blizzard or those kinds of things, or they'll be able to do it before it happens. But yeah, so that's kind of how we try and do it, is try and get more stuff out to them beforehand and warn them that it's coming as well. No, we do have some rural clients. So I have, and the way we've been able to handle that, we have one of my board members also volunteers in my kitchen on Mondays. And so when he comes in, he lives out in Albin. So when he comes in, those folks get a week's worth of frozen meals. So he'll deliver those once a week to them. When he comes in, he'll take them back out. So he has a couple out in Albin. And then we have a couple that live out off of Happy Jack, and they have family that actually comes in to the office and picks them up and takes them out for them. So we kind of try and arrange different things. It's just harder to find drivers that are willing to take the rural routes, on, multi day basis, weekly basis, more than weekly. So, but it's something we've put out into the community, is asking if there's people that are willing to do that, especially as the city kind of expands more. That there's, especially eastbound, it's getting closer and closer to Albin every time I look. But yeah, we, like I said, when COVID hit, we really found that there were more people. So we really do our best to try and help anyone who is in need. We work with a lot of other organizations in the community to not just provide just meals to our clients, but also kind of those wraparound services. So like I said, we work with case managers that can get them going on that waiver process, but we also work with Wyoming Home Services so that they can get set up if that's something that can help them. And hopefully that program, stays around. As a state program, we can lobby a little bit harder for that one to stay. But we also work, with a lot of different organizations. We've gotten a really strong partnership with HealthWorks. So, if we see people call in, we always ask them like who their doctors are, because we also offer medically tailored meals. So it's not just, here's a meal and whatever, but we'll ask them. We always ask them what medications they're on, and if they have any medical diagnoses. We have a registered dietitian that comes in, and so she works to work with their doctors to ensure that the meals that they're receiving work with whatever medical diagnoses they have, so that we know that we're not doing anything to harm them. We haven't, but it's something we would be able to do. So we offer cardiac, diabetic, renal, gluten-free, lactose-free, vegetarian, We have a pescatarian right now. Um, yeah, pescatarian. So it's vegetarian, but they also eat fish. Yeah. But then we also offer things like soft, chopped, pureed even. Those kinds. We can also alter things that way for folks. And one that's come up more recently is also no spicy. No spicy. I have younger people in my kitchen that we've had to actually add no spicy because things that are spicy to her, she doesn't, or aren't spicy to her, are spicy to our clients. And so we've had to add a no spicy designation in our system. Yeah, everything, all of our meals are low salt. So we don't add any salt to our food. So if it's anything that comes with sodium in it, that's it. So we always suggest Mrs. Dash if people feel our food is bland. I don't feel it is, but that's 5 years eating it. Yeah. We don't suggest it, but yes. But what we have found is that, when people are going to the store and buying things, especially when they want easy things that are fast to eat, like pizza rolls and stuff like that, even like ramen, it's high in sodium. So when you go from eating stuff like that to eating one of our meals, it will be bland until you get used to it because it is a shock to the system to go from the more highly processed foods. We have both my kitchen manager and assistant kitchen manager are both culinary graduates and most days make everything from scratch. So they're busy bees. I have 10 people on staff, and everyone else that comes in is volunteers. So we probably have today, I don't know, there were so many people at our kitchen. I was like, I'm going to go back upstairs. Like, I feel like I'm in the way. Like, we had, I think, 2 different businesses in helping out, plus our normal volunteers. And there was a lot of people, but usually we have 10 to 15 people volunteering in the kitchen. And then we have 30 routes that go out. So we have, 30 drivers every day that come in, plus packers. So then there's another 5 people. So yeah, there's a good 70 people that come in and out throughout the day that help us. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't complain. I don't think I have a complaint ever. And my assistant kitchen manager that does mostly the desserts, like we tell him he's our dessert dealer. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. When I first started, it was the hardest thing because the dietitian's office is right outside of mine, and she would start with desserts. It's like when she's planning the menu. And it was like before lunch. I was like, oh, I'm so hungry. And is that dessert today? Because now that's what I want. But now having Joe, who does all of our desserts and mostly all from scratch, we can really incorporate a lot more desserts, and especially for our diabetics or cardiac. So they're not just getting things like Jello or sugar-free pudding or the things that are just kind of normal things you think of. Like if we have a cake on the main menu, he's found a way to make it a sugar-free cake. It might have some slight variation, but it's going to be a sugar-free cake for our diabetics. So, yep, everyone gets a birthday cake. We have volunteers that make little double-stacked 6-inch cakes, and they go out on their birthday. And so there's no dietary restrictions for those. They get those. Right. Yeah, there's your sugar fix for the year. And then what we also started a few years ago was doing holiday meals. So we're closed on most major holidays. So we would always send out a frozen meal for those when we're closed. But we get sponsors from in the community, but then we also do a holiday meal. So we started with Thanksgiving. So we did a full-blown Thanksgiving meal. So our folks that may not have family in the community and be able to go to someone's house for Thanksgiving, they had the Thanksgiving meal come to them and be able to still have that. And so now you can't go a holiday without having it. So I know 4th of July, I think we're having bratwurst. And, we always try and do something. And so, and the state helped us out by changing the way we can manage we have to do 33% of their daily nutritional needs. That's what our meals have to do, or have to meet. But, and so things like bratwurst aren't normally going to fit that because they are high in sodium, but they changed the rules and it has to equal out to that for the month. So she can fit in something like a bratwurst, or we had beef bourguignon one year for Christmas, or, different things. And so we can throw in those fun meals. Yep. Fun meals. So all the major holidays we do them for, and then we get sponsors. We have them come in and volunteer, blast them out on social media, on our website. We've even had the news come in and cover it, those kinds of things, just get the word out of the different things that we're doing. So last year, I think we were close to serving 150,000 meals for the year. And I think we'll probably surpass that this year, just based on how we're already going. So we're 30, 45. We probably have about 50 to 60 people that help us every day. So we have our regular volunteers. So we have some folks. I have one volunteer that comes in every day, and has for almost 10 years. And then we have some that have their set days. So I have two honorary little Air Force vets that come in on Wednesdays, and we have to call that 18 and over day because they're honorary. They weren't in today, I missed them. But when we have other people that have their Tuesday, Thursday, or they have their days and they come in. We have one lady that comes in on Fridays and she brings all her friends with her. And so you never know what Fridays are going to be, like how many friends she's going to be bringing, or those kinds of things. And then what we do is also we invite businesses to come in, because what we have found over the years is that we're just a program that people don't know about until you need us. And we are trying to change that. And so by inviting businesses in to come in and see, we also are we have monthly meal sponsors. So it's our way to generate income while also getting them, create awareness. We get money, we get them volunteering in our organization, and hopefully they'll stick around. So if we bring them in, do a tour, get them in volunteering in the kitchen. Maybe that leads to them picking up a route and doing it once a week. So we have some businesses that do that. They'll rotate their employees once a week, and they all just take a turn throughout the month doing it. And it's their volunteer time. The organization, the business doesn't lose any money because it's on their lunch hour or whatever, but then the folks get to leave, get an hour out of the office, go, give back to the community. And the business gets the recognition for doing it, and we get drivers. It's a win-win. But yeah, this has probably been the best job I've ever had. I love it. Yeah, it's been great. Is there any other questions? Yeah. I would recommend anyone coming in to, if you want a tour. I have a staff member who loves to give them. Yep, I have some back on the table. Mm-hmm. So is it? Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and that's Medicaid. It's tangled web, which is why when we just send people to them, and then we get back the authorizations, and we do it that way. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You have to sign life away.
You always want to pick things like what are your final wishes? Get your political plan set up and get it set up as your proposal, because anybody doesn't look at that as an asset.
Yep, they look even like your they look at what's the life insurance. If you have a whole life policy, you cannot have a whole life policy and get.
You can do Where, but it is worth it if it's too much involved, too much money involved. But if you have slight, whatever the limit is, that particular time, you can put it into the middle trust, and the middle trust will disperse out slightly less than what the minimum is. And then once you're deceased, the state will accomplish this on whatever listed in that little trust. Right.
What you use.
And does have an estate recovery plan. And so those people are dedicated, have been receiving Medicaid services. The state of Wyoming is going to look at what assets they may have. Because how would you live in the property that's on the one, two, and maybe that would pay. Used to be $500,000. That is exempt when Medicaid is only active access. But after we go on, Medicaid is going to say, okay, here's this help, and you need to try to recover.
Yeah, I stay out of it. Better.
Well, there's a, you know,
The last meeting, we did here, that always,
Second to last,
yeah,
you know,
so, we'll read it, I think, more,
Well, thank you. Please feel free to come in. Yeah, I'll put it back there. Yep. Yep. No, you